Okay, good day, everyone. So welcome at this session about the visualization of societal impact. My name is Ivar Maas. I work at the VU Amsterdam, and there I'm the lead sustainability, which entails that I'm responsible for the sustainability strategy. And with me is Nele, and I would like to give the floor to her as well.
Yes, hi. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Nele van den Bongert. I work with Ivar at the Vrije Universiteit in Amsterdam as the coordinator of the Amsterdam Sustainability Institute. So that's a research network that we have here that works across all faculties. And I'm also the coordinator of the Green Office here. So that's the student-led sustainability platform. And I'm then the staff employee of that. That's just very quickly about myself, and back to Ivar.
Yeah, thank you. On the program today as well, first we will do a brief opening, and since this is our first meeting with the International Sustainable Campus Network, we also would like to briefly outline and say who we are as VU, and then we will dive into the Sdg Research Dashboard. And after we will dive into the Sdg Education Dashboard, and then there is room for a Q&A. So first of all, well, then VU has a new strategy, or well, by this time it's not new anymore, but VU has a strategy in which sustainability is one of the priority areas, which means at the core of its strategy, and that includes that it should be a part of all university operations, meaning education, research, knowledge transfer, and operations. So that's the standard and the direction that we are heading towards. We defined sustainability alongside the Sustainable Development Goals. I guess this is a familiar picture for most of you, where we indeed indicate or see all those different layers of what sustainability is, and not only in the biosphere, but also economic and societal elements. Then very quickly about how we organize sustainability. As I mentioned, we have targets for education, research, knowledge transfer, and organization. And let's say the glue that makes that all possible is the community itself. For education, the targets are as following. Are as following. We want to have a sustainability part of all study programs. In order to realize that, we have to help teachers also in enabling them to do something with sustainability, and at the same time we intend to monitor and assist students in selecting sustainable courses. Concerning research, we are striving towards doing climate positive research, and we also aim to sustainability as a part of the research practices, and that also these research practices are supported properly by the Institute, and our research is focused and generates societal impact. So it's both on the terms of the content of what we do, but also how we are doing that. Concerning knowledge transfer, it's quite similar to education. So we want to empower students and teachers and researchers, for that matter, in engaging in sustainable knowledge transfer, and at the same time also have metrics and tools for those students and teachers to work on sustainable knowledge transfer. And for the organization, I guess there are many different distributions you can make, but this is one of them. We have targets for both energy and climate, for food and drink, sustainable procurement, and mobility, and greenery and renewal. Oh, so this is a very, very quick overview of the different targets, different layers of VU. Then some projects that we have so far, I will go through very quickly, but we are starting with a sustainable labs pilot. So that is the way how we do research, and together with researchers of those labs, we will look at how those labs can be operated more sustainably. We will also soon start with the Green Ambassadors Program, and that is, well, an ambassadors program for people within each faculty and each service of the university that want to work on sustainability. We are making a CO2 emissions overview. I guess, or we are still on the stage to further outline and determine what are actually our Scope 3 emissions. So we are actively working on that. And finally, the Sdg Scan for teachers. And this is a program with which we apply to help teachers integrate sustainability in their education. So these are some examples of upcoming and or current projects. And then also final thing, and is that recently, earlier this month, we won a national sustainability prize, which indicates that VU Amsterdam is the most sustainable university in the Netherlands, following the standards of the Sustainable. So at least shows we are on the right track, but we have a long way to go still. So this was super quick. Who we are, but we are also very curious who you are. And that's why I will quickly go to a Mentimeter, and the link to Mentimeter will be put in the chat, or well, you can scan the QR code and go to the website. But I guess the quickest way is just to follow the link, and then I will go to the Mentimeter presentation now. Yeah, so first question is, who do you work for? Just for ourselves to get an understanding who is taking part in this session.
Quite a mix, huh? Yeah, I see 3 continents now.
Yeah.
Good to see. Oh, more. Okay, from the Netherlands, I only see Twente apart from us. We have Singapore.
Wow, okay, very good to see. Good mix of indeed of continents. So nice to see that all over the world we are gathering for this. Then I would like to go to the next question to you. So what are things that you would like to take away from this session? Also because later on the session we can take into account when we are discussing the different topics. So if you have certain expectations or main things you would like to learn or discuss now, then let us know. Okay, Sdg Dashboard. Well, that's perfect. That's what we're going to discuss. Okay, approach to Sdg 8. Yeah. The criteria to use, understanding potential and existing dashboard audience needs. Yeah, very good one. Yeah, also interesting to explore further how the collaboration between ICN members around the SDGs can be expanded upon reporting. Yeah, how to inform. Okay. Yeah, tracking progress, also an interesting one. Okay, great. Well, I've also written some of these elements down. I think we will touch upon quite a few of them. So I propose we go back to the presentation and then just start with the first part, which is then the research dashboard. And therefore, Nele, I give the floor to you. And tell me when I can click to the next slide.
Yes, perfect. Yes, thank you, Ivar. Indeed, I think we will come across a couple of those things in my part and in Ivar's part as well. Maybe first of all, what's good to know or interesting is that
Nele, sorry, I think we completely forgot the poll questions.
Oh, we have more. Yeah, true.
Yeah, we have more questions. I'm very sorry. So yeah, Jen, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so here's some more questions so we get to know more about you. We have set up 3 questions in total, and please, yeah, let us know if you're using the SDGs in any way already and how. So Jen, do we have some results already in there?
Yeah, a little over half have participated, so maybe we just wait for another minute.
That's good. Yeah, so afterwards we'll also have some time for discussions. In case you find it difficult to decide which option to choose here, we will also be able to discuss that later on as well. Okay, Jen, how is it going? I think. Oh, none for research. Or both, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have some who use the SDGs only for education and some who use it for both, like most, more than half. The main target group is, well, can't decide, mix of the above. So yeah, not as clear. That's fine.
Yeah. Also quite interesting because we started with research.
Yeah.
So we're okay, very good. So Nele, very good. Now I give the floor to you at last.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I was just going to say that I will go into the method, well, the method behind the tool of the analysis. I must say though that we have a research intelligence team here at the VU Amsterdam. I am not part of that. I work closely with them, but for more detailed questions, I can later on let you know the contact details of the research intelligence team. But in any case, I can tell you that their method and everything is open source, so everything can be found online and can be used. So collaboration and not reinventing the wheel, some of the comments that you made earlier, is definitely also what we aim for. So any kind of survey data, validation, and the categories can be found. Yeah, it's really valuable to you as well. Yeah, so with that, Ivar, can you please go further? Yeah, so the Sdg Dashboard, this is a part of it. So we have different elements to it, but what you can see here is a visualization of an Sdg classifier. So this is what it looks like. What you can see at the left is where you can enter someone's name, a researcher's name, and then from there you see what kind of SDGs best match this researcher's work. We have the same kind of tool available also for organizational units. So that's research centers within the university and institutes, also faculties. So yeah, this is a Microsoft Power BI website where this appears and where we can yeah, look up all the either organizational units or researchers. And then yeah, at the bottom you see the publications that have been matched on the SDGs, and then in the center you have an overview of the SDGs, and of course the largest square is then the biggest impact or the highest match that we have. Then next, please. So this is roughly what it looks like, and what it is yeah, as I said, it's really just a visualization of this method. The method is by now in its current version a machine learning tool, and it is able to read multiple European languages. And the idea is that with this tool, we can make visible or gain more insights into our university's contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals. What we use for that, or the sort of parameters that we're using, is the publications as such, but also their strength, if they are valuable to the public, and if they are picked up in policy. All these things can be analyzed. The dashboard has started as a project within the Aurora Universities network. So that's a network of European universities, and this project, the Sdg Dashboard, is one of the first collaborations that have been set up in this group, and VU Amsterdam has been in the lead for this project. Next, please. Yeah, so how it's evolved, you can see all steps at the top. I just want to quickly go through them. So of course, the first steps was to, transforming the SDGs and the text that are available into keywords that can be used for this matching process. So this has been done in the very first steps, and then from there, these categories and keywords have been validated with the help of researchers who work on SDGs, so who can give good and qualified feedback. And after several rounds, you see from version 1, we moved to version 5. This has been improved to be a multilingual tool that can also read the sub-goals of the targets of the SDGs. So this has been a process that took a while. As I said, the first idea for this project was in 2017, and it's not yet finished, but we are about to really roll it out here at VU. As I said before, also it's free and transparent. So the idea is also for you to be able to work with this tool and adjust it to your needs as well. Next, please. Well, now the question is, of course, what can you do with this? First of all, you can, of course, just show and make visible the impact that the university has on the SDGs. So publications that have an impact on society beyond the university. And of course, this helps in reporting and monitoring, and also it's possible with this tool to identify projects that have a high impact on the SDGs. So that otherwise you might not even realize this. And the same with researchers who are then able to find each other based on the SDGs. So this can help for collaboration across disciplines where otherwise you might miss each other. Of course, the researchers can also strengthen their own profile with this. I will come back to that later, what it looks like, and where you can actually make it visible and use this. And also it's possible, or this offers just another tool to evaluate researchers, or to make visible the impact of a researcher. It's not just pure publications, but you can then also consider the relevance to society of given researchers or research institutes work. And then the benefits of developing your own classifier is that, of course, you're more independent by using your own tool and methods. And this tool is also able to read not just English language publications, but a number of European languages. Then next, please. So yes, here we see in the slide before we had an overview of this for an entire university, but of course you can also just look for one of the SDGs and find out how many publications there have been published at your institutions, how this has developed over time, that you can see that at the bottom. And you can look for authors, so for single authors at the bottom as well. So there's a search bar where you can find people. And on the right, this is the integration into the Pure research portal, where you can then use filters to look for profiles. So a filter would then be one of the SDGs. You click on it and you find a list of people, a list of researchers who work on this. And the same applies to publications. Next, please. And this is then what I meant with the option that researchers can find each other. So you can do a network analysis with this tool as well to find out who's working on the same topics. And the projects that have a high impact on the SDGs, you can also find them through this tool, because with the mapping of research, you might find, or might be able to find, clusters where a lot of this kind of research has been happening. So these are just examples of how you can use this. And in the next slide, we see how you can integrate this tool into Pure. So Pure offers now the opportunity to show SDG labels on researchers' profiles, so personal profiles, but also on the profiles of organizational units. So that's one way of using them and making them visible in the front end. You can also just use them in the back end for reporting and monitoring. That's of course a precondition to move it to the front end. And another option is to also show an overview of all SDGs on the homepage of your university in Pure. So then at the start screen, the first screen of the entire institution, you would then have an overview of all SDGs, and you can again click on them and find out who's working on this. So on the next slide, this is what it would look like at VU Amsterdam. So on the left, we see the back end. Researchers can always adjust and change and also completely remove, if they wanted to, all the SDGs. That's always possible. And then they see the SDG labels above the fingerprint, in case you're familiar with the sort of structure of this person profile. And then on the right, we see the research, the banner on the institution's page. So on the next slide, we have an overview of this tool that we saw in the beginning, but then for an organizational unit that we also are able to set up. Then maybe, yeah, what's the current situation with all this at VU Amsterdam? So we have now developed this tool together with the Aurora network, and we have set up everything in the pure research portal, only in a test environment. So at the moment we are preparing the rollout across the university for these SDGs to be visible in the front end. So that means we are about to have the first report of SDGs produced, but unfortunately I don't yet have the numbers for that now, but if you're interested, we can definitely stay in touch about this. And regarding the front end, so adding the SDGs to the profiles of researchers, we are currently preparing all of that. So that entails some communication and also, of course, coordination with the faculties to get in touch with the researchers and giving them instructions, and yeah, just also being in touch with all of them. So we hope that by the end of the summer we have the SDGs on the research portal of our university, and we're very much looking forward to that. So with that, yeah, I give the floor to Ivar, and then we have questions later on, but also, of course, you can put them in the chat, in the Q&A as well.
Yeah, thank you, Nele. So indeed, we'll just first tell the entire story, and then there is space for the discussion. So now to dive into the Sdg Education Dashboard. We are still in, let's say, a pilot phase in this dashboard, but I will go through briefly what the process is, what so far the outcomes have been, and how the future looks. And also I want to mention that we are doing this in collaboration with our Green Office, which is our student sustainability platform. Yeah, they are also an important part of establishing this dashboard. So very quickly, we use key terms also here, so you can see what key terms, or at least a certain amount of keywords that has been used, and we use these keywords to assess the different course descriptions. And how that went is the following. Students of the Green Office went through all the different course descriptions of the university. We have around 5,000 courses in total, and they looked at the course description based on those keywords, and then they categorized the courses either in sustainability focused or sustainability related, or none of them, and then linked to a particular SDG, where sustainability focused in this case means that the course concentrates on sustainability, and so really the entire course is focused on a sustainability issue, and sustainability related is more broad. So it could be that also other topics are discussed in that course, or that not directly sustainability is discussed in that course. It took quite a while to go through all those different courses, but in the end, once the students went through all those different course manuals, then this was, at least for us, the result. So as you could see, we found 319 different courses. This is the dashboard that then was the result. Let's see, I will go to the next slide to further elaborate on the different elements that are part of this dashboard, but this is the complete overview and the result of this endeavor. Then what we found, for example, was what the percentages were of sustainability at the different faculties. So here we saw that at least the Faculty of Social Sciences had quite a high percentage, or relatively high percentage, of sustainability or SDG related education. And we can also identify then in what courses or what study programs more sustainability might be integrated. Then also we could make a distinction between the different SDGs that are discussed and that are found. So we found at least that SDG 3, 8, and 10 are, let's say, most prominent in our education. So also that should reflect to a certain extent what the university usually also focuses on and what kind of study programs are now already embedded there. We also looked at then the differences between the different levels. So if somebody is a bachelor or a master student, and how that then is reflected in the sustainability courses. And we saw, well, we found that most of the courses so far are master's courses, and then is bachelor courses. I now realize that these colors are not so clearly to distinguish, but I can tell you the most ones are the master's, and then it's bachelor courses, as you might expect, but it was curious to see that most of them are in the master's. Then we also made a distinction between sustainability related or sustainability focused, and there, interestingly, well, we found that let's say a quarter or 1/3 is sustainability focused and 2/3 is sustainability related, and mostly the language of these courses is in English. Then also here the question, as you saw with previous one, is, well, what do you do with this actually? So and we are currently using this dashboard as a starting point to discuss with the administration of the VU or with the administration of the university on how to improve it and on to identify where potential gaps are. So we use it on the one hand for a, let's say, managerial perspective in identifying where potentials are. We will soon also discuss the outcomes of this dashboard with the different faculties and identify what study programs can be improved further. At the same time, we are also developing the process further. So it's also, let's say, an iterative process in which we also collaborate with the faculties in improving and including more courses if they might be missed. The other application of this dashboard, which is also still further in development, but can now already be utilized, is, well, then we also want to encourage students to follow more sustainability related courses. And that's why this now gives an overview for the students if they want to do something with sustainability. Well, these are at least the courses that we find, and they can, in the dashboard, they can filter for their particular study program or their particular area of interest and find what kind of courses might be interesting for them. Future steps for the dashboard are the following. So we are improving the method itself in determining the sustainable when a course is sustainable. So we are use somewhat similar technique as the research dashboard, but we intend to, well, develop that further specifically for education. And additionally, we want to look at how also this process, as well as the research dashboard, can be done automatically. But that's, well, let's say the follow-up of this. We now have this as a starting point, which we will now develop further. Also, we will soon develop a dashboard specifically for students. So as you might have seen, the dashboard you just saw might not always be as suitable for students. So we want to make it more appealing and more intuitive for students so they can, well, more easily pick sustainability related courses. As a other next step is it's further integrating these sustainability related courses into the normal processes of the university. And one of the examples is by doing that by linking it to the course manuals in the study guides, where students then can more easily see also to what SDGs these courses are linked. And also into planning or integrating this in the, let's say, the regular planning and control cycle of the education of the VU. So those are, let's say, next steps. So quite a lot to develop further here for the education dashboard, but this is the starting point. So these were our presentations about the research dashboard and about the education dashboard. And yeah, then I propose now we have an open discussion about this. Perhaps we can first go to some of the questions. And I think, Nele, the first one is maybe from you, from Augustine. How are the publication data pushed to the dashboard? Are they real time?
Yes. No, they're not real time. It is still a manual work that has to be done. So we will now or have already put all the publications into the analysis tool for now. But after that, in the following up on that, this is happening on regular moments. So this has to be done by the research intelligence team again. So it's not real time, but in regular updates that have to be done. So also with the new publications will then on a regular basis be analyzed based on the tool. Yeah. And we use Scopus for now as the database for this. So that's maybe also good to know. And so this is something that has to become a process.
Yeah.
And the next question is maybe for you.
Yeah, sure. We can show it again. So, well, basically the different parameters that are now included here are, well, the number of ETCS, the different faculty, the level that it is taught at, the year or the period, or mostly the year in which it is taught. That's mostly relevant for, well, let's say a bachelor year. So in what year is being taught, the language, whether or not it is sustainability focused or sustainability related. Yeah, and what's further information? Well, also the level, as mentioned before, and the study program. So which overall study program it's part of. Also not visible here is if it's a mandatory or an optional course. And this way we can also see if indeed all students at VU encounter sustainability, well, or let's say, that all students encounter sustainability if they follow a program at VU.
And then we have a question, Oh, what? We have a question about the SDGs when they are done in 2030. What do we do then? Yeah, of course, everything is very geared towards the SDGs for now. And then we have to see what comes after that, I think. And maybe someone in the audience also has ideas about this. It's just for now, the SDGs seem to be a very good framework to measure this impact and to just start with something. And what comes after that, after 2030, that I think we have to see then. All right, Ivar, do you have ideas?
But how to evolve it further? Well, I guess quite a lot of those themes will stay relevant in some form. So I can imagine that that also, well, the dashboards will then evolve over time. So yeah, I guess that will be something to take into account when evolving that further. Yeah. For now, it's the big idea is that we have central framework, which is internationally known, at least among scholars, and that can just be used and applied for measuring or for determining societal impact. And further linked to that, this is also then, at least for VU, the overall paradigm that we use to define sustainability.
Yeah, and we have another question from Jen. So Jen is one of our hosts today. So thank you for facilitating the session. And has been involved in this kind of research intelligence herself. And she asked if the keywords, they seem to be quite broad, and maybe this leads to quite a few false positives. And if we, or how we reviewed this to improve that, and how time consuming that was. Yes, certainly that has happened. And as I said before, it's it's not only the goals that have been used, but also the targets. So there's quite a few keywords that have been used and synonyms, of course, as well. But we did have the case, for example, an ecosystem can be used in an environmental sense of an environmental ecosystem, but also business research uses this term. So yeah, of course, you do have some terms that that can lead to false positives, but that's the idea of this latest version of the tool, which is also yeah, using machine learning, so that these false positives occur less and less over time as well. Also, I put a few links in the chat, so you can also read about the review process in detail. For example, the survey results, which I can put again in the chat now. So there you can see all detailed information on how this went. So apart from inviting researchers who gave feedback on this, there was also a stage of yeah, to improve the precision of the keywords and yeah, to avoid these false positives. So this has been a quite thorough process, but yeah, that was time consuming as well. But as I said, you can check the information that I put in the chat, and also if you are interested, I can also connect you to the research intelligence team who can also tell you firsthand about that.
Yeah. And Nele, there's also another question now. What are the differences and similarities between the research dashboard and SDG analysis option provided by Elsevier? Yeah, both have the same database corpus, yeah, but also the same methodology.
Yeah. So yes, there is differences, but also when you go to the Power BI that we have, you can also find the Elsevier tool there as well. So that is, maybe we can go to that slide as well. That would be slide, do you see it here? Oh yeah, for example, slide 20. One, yeah, or 12. So if you go up, more. Yeah, that one. So here you also see at the top Aurora AI. So that's the one that I described, but also the Elsevier tool is included in here because yeah, just together they were strengthening each other as well. Then the Aurora one is multilingual. I'm actually not sure if Elsevier also is. And of course, it's independent, so you can use it, you can make it fit to your needs. And yeah, about the automatization, I guess it is possible, but for now it has been decided not to do that. But still, this is work in progress. So I'm quite sure also if you have ideas yourself, you're more than welcome to join the collaboration as well, of course.
But I guess that question is, so on the one hand, it is automated for the research dashboard, but not for the education dashboard. So yeah, that's the difference there.
Yes, then we have the question of the survey results in the review process. So yeah, I just put the link in there as well. And also we have a paper that has been written on this, and I will quickly check what's the address so I can send it to you as well. Okay, so do we have more questions for now or not? Yeah. Okay, so I think here's the link. Okay, so then maybe we can go back to our poll and the takeaways that people wanted to have in that poll as well, and see.
And I will go then to this one.
Yeah.
Okay, then how to track and display progress on the dashboard. Well, concerning the research dashboard, I think this was covered. So over time, you measure the different amounts of papers published on those different SDGs, right? So there you can just see it over time. The same is for the education dashboard, but we are still developing that further. But because you do want to have, let's say, the same process over time if you want to compare it. Okay.
And then we have the ways to use a common platform like the SDGs to create a cohesive set of priorities in programs, I think. So with platform, you mean the SDGs? Yeah, so that's maybe how we can use it for management, right? So we see where there's a lot of sustainability related courses at which faculty, so we can also then see where we are maybe missing a lot of potential and try to build knowledge and also capacities to improve on that.
Yeah, and then there was this question about criteria. And let's say when, what criteria to use, and how do you decide what fits where? I think there again, it's the key term analysis that is being applied, and also there is, and this is what you showed in your presentation also, Nele, that there is a certain threshold that needs to be crossed. And this threshold is determined by the algorithm, and when this threshold is let's say surpassed, that is when you can assign that particular SDG.
Yeah, so there maybe that's also interesting. We had different discussion about which kind of threshold to use. So if you say per researcher, it's at least 5 publications per SDG, then this researcher gets assigned this particular SDG. But that proved difficult for junior researchers who don't have that many publications. So then we decided that it's a percentage of the total work that is so if a researcher has like 25% of his or her, well, this sort of percentage is then also again up to discussion, but if a certain percentage threshold is reached for one SDG, this researcher will be tagged with this SDG. And then you can also think of a maximum number of SDGs that will appear on the pure research dashboard. So these are all considerations that you have to make when using these matching mechanisms. And where to put these thresholds to be fair to the diverse group of researchers that you have, and also what happens with researchers that just just tick so many of the SDGs because they just work on very broad topics. That's also something to consider, just to make sure that it always works. But concerning the pure portal, as I said, that's always editable. So the research can always adjust that. It's more than for the reporting part that works with this analysis tool where you have to just thoroughly check that these thresholds work the way you want it, or that it makes sense. Okay, so are there any more questions? Also, I typed earlier, I put my email address in one of the answers of the Q&A, but I can also put it here in case you're interested in a follow-up also for more collaboration. You can just send me an email and then we can set up any further meetings. Also, if you're interested to dive deeper into the actual analysis and the criteria and how all this process works and the actual tools, next to the links that I put in the chat, of course, we can also connect you to the people who worked on this and who developed all of this. So yeah, just let us know if you're interested, and then we can continue this discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
So yeah, thank you for your time, for being here, for asking questions, and yeah, we're happy to continue this discussion.